Okay, we'll shut this baby over here. Okay, there we go. Hey, Charles.
Hey, how's
How's
it
it
going?
going?
It's all right. Starting to feel a little
Feeling
bit
any
better.
better today?
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's good. Good. We just got into this hotel in Jackson. So we're
Ja-
Jackson, Wyoming.
Wyoming. Okay.
Yeah. And anyway,
Where are you guys headed?
well, not really anywhere. I mean, we're headed to Jackson, Wyoming, and then we're going to go to up a little bit north of Yellowstone for a day, and then we'll come back. But I'm thinking probably that I'm not going to do that Sunday thing this time. I might give the Zoom information to Gary and or Adam if they want to do the exercises. But anyway, I think we'll kind of hold off on the. I just don't know. See, we're driving so much that I don't think we're going to be able. I'm going to be able to prepare for it. And also, the one thing is that the red book is coming. I mean, not the red book. The black books are coming out in 2 weeks. So what I thought I'd do is next time. I mean, I'll finish this one book we're reading, and then the following time we'll start talking about the black books, and we'll just go through that until. But this book, I don't know how many people really liked it, but to me it was it is a wonderful book showing how to do dream interpretation and stuff like that. I mean,
You're talking about the living symbol.
Yeah, The Living Symbol by Gerhard Adler. Yeah, it was. It was just a great book. I'm going to get Roy's Dream here. Okay. I'll have it in the chat too. Copy. I don't know if anybody else is. Let me see here. All right, let's see. Oh, wait, that's not the one we want. Okay, it's this one. All right, there we go. Yeah, okay. Anyway, everybody really liked your dream. Jeez.
Yeah.
That was a very great dream, just in itself, and then just interpreting it was, I don't know. I had a, it was.
I thought it was a really. I thought it was an interesting dream because it just seemed to be so, like kind of grand in scale, and it was almost like talking about my whole life.
That's exactly. I mean, the new worlds that need to come into being, and that the emperor. I've been really thinking about that. Hi, Roy. How's it going? We're just getting started here. We're just talking about Charles' dream, and the fact that he said it had a different feeling, but the one thing he said, it seemed to summarize his whole life. But I mean, the scale of its descriptions were so cosmic, yet they seem to be talking about Charles directly. I mean, he is the emperor of a world which is going to end, so all we see is empty space. it's lit by the light of ego consciousness. And then he has this dying, sick daughter, is the new growing feminine spirit within him. His anima, really, is what it is. It's either his anima or his divine child. And when he gives it the water of life, suddenly she comes to life vibrantly, and then it's a catalyst to go to where the world can be, the new world can come into being. Hi, Kevin. But the new world can't come into being according to the consort, who I think was the anima. She was a person that you could only had a vague reference to. There was a row of both sides that were more conscious. And she says, "Who's the girl?" And he says, "It's my daughter." And then they were reading lines off the tapestry, which, and Charles is composing one of the papers that's going to go on it, And anyway, the only way that the new world can come into being, it's lacking four things. And, it's lacking black, yellow, blue, and gold, And the idea, what I was thinking is that black was the color of the Negredo. So that was the beginning of the work. And yellow and blue were the colors of meaning and clarity. Okay. What the ego is being asked of by the dream it's actually asking three things. The first thing it asks us for is to be the medium of expression of the dream. So in other words, we bring the dream into consciousness and non-verbally make some kind of reference to it to make it more concrete in the outer world. And, that's usually done, if you're going to do it, that's done with sensation and feeling. Sensation would be the hands which draw it and make it real. Sensation is the function of making things real. And, that's hit me in the head quite a bit. And then feeling is the function of emotional involvement in the work. So now those are both nonverbal. That's the medium of expression. The other thing it asks us to do is to provide meaning, which is more of an intuition thing. What is this? What is the secret image that's associated with this? And then the thinking provides the clarity. The words to be attached to each part of the dream. And then the third thing, this I got from Robert Johnson, but I think it's very important. For it to become part of our personal myth, we have to enact it in the outer world in some type of a ritual. So whenever we think of that ritual, we will realize the mythic importance of that dream to us. So the myth and this act in the outer world, and the act, some ritual is, we're going to enact it in the outer world. And then that makes that if we repeat that act, whatever it is, like in one case, Robert Johnson told someone to go look at the bark of 10 trees. Okay, that dream forever then was connected with tree bark, and so anyway, that's something that to make the dreams come alive. Franz Kafka had this book called "I Am a Memory Come Alive." Well, we can make the dream come alive. But anyway, I thought I'm going to put Roy's dream in the chat here, and why don't we get started on Roy's dream? Let's see. All right, did I already put it in there? Maybe I did. Let me see. Control V. Okay. All right. This is Roy's dream. It's called Going Home, and this was a dream that he had on 3 days ago. So what day would that be? 30th, 29th, 28th. That would be Sunday?
Yeah, 27th.
Yeah, Sunday. Okay. Hi, Gary. Hi. Gary, one thing I just don't think I'm going to be able to do anything on Sunday. So what I thought I'd do is I'll give you and Adam the sign-on information for Zoom if you guys want to do something. Otherwise,
oh, yeah, like I can see torturing people with half hour of dance and
Well, exactly.
Fun,
Yeah, well, I'm going to send you and Adam the sign-on link. It's not secret,
Okay.
It's just my email address, and then you guys could have a session. And then the following Sunday, what we'll do is I'm just going to finish the whole book of the Living Symbol. I'm just going to summarize it and try to just summarize it. And then the following week, which I think will be October 18th, we'll start on the black books. And we're just going to go through them and read them together because I think that we'll learn a lot about it. Okay.
You'll have a PDF of that?
Yes, I will. It'll be super secret, so don't share it with anybody. I get in trouble doing that, I mean, I have gotten in trouble before. But, I'm the expert at making electronic copies of books. So, all right. Okay, let's start out with do you want to read your dream, Roy? And then,
sure.
Yeah, and then we'll go through it.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I am on a big farm. It is not my farm, probably my father's farm. It has employees on it and is well taken care of. There's a sewer plant or a place where toxic things go. There was a courtyard where old sculptures stood. There's lots of fields and pastures. I was tending a few plants. Some of them were in pots in a building like a greenhouse. Some were outside. They needed my care to exist. I showed an employee a non-jarnilja plant. A little orange is a common name. It's in the tomato family. It's full of stickers. The fruit's just covered with sticky fuzz, and there's sharp, spiky things all over the leaves. It's just a wicked little plant. I was supposed to leave to go on a trip. I was worried about who would take care of my plants. Then Al Brenner appears. He's a friend of mine that died just this past January. He has been in 6 of my dreams since that time. He is happy to see me. He is smiling. He jumps on my back and I am carrying him. I notice he is very light. End of dream.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking about the dream, and it's like my real life. I take care of plants. I can't hire anyone because plants are too difficult to trust. Then we cut off the rest of the email. We didn't get the rest of it, and I can find that and read the rest later.
Oh, yes, I do have the rest of it. Yes. Just a second. I didn't know that was connected. All right, just a second, and I will get that. Let's see. Have it here. I wasn't sure that was part of the dream, but I see.
It wasn't. It was. Well, it wasn't. It was after I woke up, and I had that come to my mind.
Okay.
It seemed to make.
Yes. Okay. It's. I'm going to put it in the chat here. Okay, go ahead, but I'm going to put it in the chat.
Okay, I can get it here on my.
Oh, I've got it right here.
You're quicker than me. Who's got the fastest draw?
Oh,
Okay, I
well, I
got
just
it.
had it here. Okay,
I
there,
have
there
it.
it is.
Okay, now you got it. Okay, there it is. All right, let me take this out. Okay, this uh, it was kind of funny. I wasn't even going to write this dream down, and me and Adelaide are laying in bed, and then she was telling me her dream, and I was listening to her dream, which was fascinating too, and it triggered my dream, and they were kind of connected in a way, and so now I understand my dream. You know what I'm concerned about, what it really means, what Al was trying to tell me. So I'll read that.
Okay.
It's sort of a little oracle, kind of like an oracle. If you work on seeing the problem inside yourself and not outside yourself, then you would be motivated to work on the problem inside yourself, or how you yourself contribute to the problem. That is the way to find your way home. People say, welcome home. But what is home? And besides, is the point getting home? The point to me is the obstacle preventing your progress towards home. And the obstacle is in yourself.
Okay, this is almost this has come up in several of my dreams, and that is, where is our native land? You know, that we feel like we are strangers in a strange land, you know, and where is our native land? You know, so let's start with the first part.
So a question on the
Yes.
second half, is that, I'm confused, is that part of the dream or is that something you were thinking about afterwards?
Thinking afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's sort of now. Jung said, you know, often people often discussed the fact that we can't remember our dreams accurately, you know, and sometimes the ego consciousness puts in details that weren't in the dream. But Jung said that makes no difference whatsoever, because um, our thoughts aren't our own either.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it did not make any difference to him that the dream did not come from the unconscious untouched. You know, he was not worried about that. And often, you know, especially if now, did this second part come when you were still lying in bed somewhat
Totally. I mean,
bit
we were
later?
still both in bed. I was just talking with Adelaide on her dream, and we're lying in bed in the
Yeah.
morning before we got up, and then she sort of gave me the solution to my dream, and then we were still in bed, and I said, "Oh, that's it." And as soon as I got up after that, I had to go write that down. I just wrote it right down out of my head, right then.
Yes,
Okay.
and see now, I often have this happen, and I wonder if anybody else wants to talk about it. Is when I am lying in bed and I'm not asleep. If I close my eyes, I see faces, I see images, you know, and it's just because I've not gotten up out of bed. I haven't had the blood flow change in my brain very much, you know, and I think that we're open or more permeable at that point. And so often, some of the little statements we add at the end of dreams, you know, like something we think. I think we should write that down too. And I think this is one of those things too, you know. But anyway, let's get started on it. And you know, I was telling my wife, you know, she's here. One of the things that is really missing in our life is storytelling. You know, there used to be only 25 to 50 people in early how our psyche developed in groups of 25 to 50. And what would they do? They would get in the sacred circle and they would tell stories. We don't do that anymore. except in what my wife is really involved in AA. You know, I mean, that they have a sacred circle. And when you hear each one of those voices, that's not the voice of the person smoking outside. You know, that's a different voice. You know. So anyway, I think that when I was thinking that, I was thinking of dream work as well. Is we are going back when we're doing this to we're not rediscovering. We're not discovering something. We're rediscovering something. Hopefully, you know. But anyway, let's get started on it. Let me see. I've got this one here. I think it was. Oh, shoot. I've got so many things open here. Just a second. You know, that's why that thing is not coming on YouTube, is because I've got so many. This laptop, I hardly ever use it, and sometimes I never restart it, and then the browser gets all screwed up. Okay, darn it. Let me see if this is it. No, that's not it. Okay. Okay, yeah, here it is. Okay, this is it. All right, now the dream is called Going Home. We should always title our dreams, okay? Now, I am on this big farm. It is not my farm, possibly my father's. Now, this is similar to the dream of hovering over the plowed field. You remember that?
You know, this is interesting. I've been thinking about this week, and I live next to a plowed field, 11 acres, has employees, like they're putting in a crop right now. So it's like I'm on a farm, but I don't own it, but I'm on it, and I care for plants on it, but I don't have the employees the other guy does. So I have fields and plow fields and all this stuff, but I don't own it. I mean, in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is some, you know, almost all our dream material comes from our conscious life. And then the dream maker is saying, here, you're familiar with this. And here's my analogy. I'm taking things that you are familiar with so that you can understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay. And that you like to work with plants. So one of the themes I'm going to bring up in your dreams very often are going to be fields, you know, of plants. And the plowed field represents that thing that is waiting for seed. You know, it is ready for the planting of what of the crop that would come after. You know, so what is lacking is the germinating seeds that will produce the fruit or produce the harvest. So where are they going to get this seed? Well, it seems like it's an open question that we have to answer. Our ego attention has to answer. And what the germinating seed is going to be is ego attention. You know, what the alchemists called cooking, you know, which is fire of ego attention. Ego in alchemy, whenever you see fire or you see cooking, that means ego provides attention to an image. Okay. All right. Now it's not your farm. It's possibly your father's. Okay. Now,
My father had big farms. Like he had a farm that was 1,000 acres.
Yeah. Well, it's you. Did you inherit any?
No. I left Virginia when I was 20, and I didn't get any property in Virginia. I got some property in Florida, and my relatives took the property in Virginia. So I never owned one of the farms.
Okay. All right, but let's assume this is the typical thing. It's someone we are on in a house or in a farm or in a room or in an apartment that is not ours. And that means typically that this life, that all these organs, this body, that our awareness is riding on, our awareness has nothing to do with it. You know, the life essence of it. I mean, the organs in particular. We are now. See, we think because we can make it stand up and sit down and walk across the floor and do things that it's our body, but we're just a sort of a directing consciousness, you know. But the the essence within it is which is do you know what I'm saying? Is that the life essence is, we don't own it. Some other awareness owns it. The other awareness is nature. Now, in this case, it is associated with the father, and that would be with an ancestor, you know, an immediate ancestor. So they own this farm which we are on. So they own this body which we occupy, you know. It has employees on it, and it is well taken care of. There was a sewer plant or a place where toxic things go. Okay, now it has, this farm that we're on has workers on it who are taking very good care of it. Now, there is a sewer plant or a place where toxic things go. Okay, that's where the rejected things go. And so usually that's where often when we see anything that's despicable or rejected, that has to do with the unconscious and the inferior function. And who's rejecting it? Ego is rejecting it. Okay, you know, so the ego is saying this has no value, you know, because ego's values are not anywhere near these values. Okay.
But farmers will be using that toxic stuff. That's the way
Okay,
farmers
yes.
are.
All right.
Farmers will.
Okay, now say there was a sewer plant or a place where toxic things go. So if you're talking about manure, or is that what you're talking about?
I'm
Some
not
kind of
sure,
fertilizer?
but
Okay.
in the old days, farmers had to recycle everything. There was no place to haul anything off. So they had these toxic areas.
Yeah.
They might have left old junk cars there and batteries and, you know, oil barrels. It's just a place where you put those things. And sometimes you go back in there and you haul things out and do something with them.
Okay. All right. Well, that is a possibility. The fact that now that you called it a sewer plant, is there? Where did you get those two words?
Well, I owned a sewer plant at one time, and I ran it, and I was good at it. And I had a sand trap and a polisher and the whole thing. And I dried the sludge and used it for fertilizer. And, you know, I could recycle the whole thing.
Well, that's what my mother, she worked on a farm, and she said that was their biggest crop was cow poop.
Oh, yeah, that's valuable stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they would save it, and then they had a manure spreader that would fling it.
Oh, yeah.
All direct and behind, hopefully, and to the left and the right. You know. So anyway,
there's a lime spreader on the back of the truck. It
right.
used to spread it for lime, but you could put manure in there and do the same thing.
Exactly. Manure. So let's say now, as employees, and it's well taken care of. So this is a very well tended farm that we are on. That's not ours. You know, a big farm. It's very magnificent. So that's we got to keep that in mind. And then there's a possible place where of fertilizing whatever's going to be planted. Okay, that sets the setting. Okay, now we go into some of the details. There was a courtyard where old sculptures sit. Okay, well, this can be added to the sewer. There's a courtyard where old sculptures stood. Old images of from the past. So this, don't you think this is kind of a mysterious place, Roy, where
Yeah.
all these old images are? Where did they come from? Why are they there? What do they represent? We don't know. You know, there's lots of fields and pastures. So there's many aspects to this that remain unexplored, possibly. Are you well familiar with this farm? Or
It reminds me of my father's pig farm that he had.
okay, now
in
this is
Virginia.
this is not
that
your
he bought this farm. The weeds were 12 foot high. You couldn't see anything anywhere.
okay.
And he just groomed that farm. It was just beautiful what he did with it. I worked on it for a lot
So
of
you're
summers.
pretty sure. You say possibly my father's. So you're pretty sure
Possibly, but it reminds me of where I live now, where there's farms all around me. People take care of them. They have employees, but I only have an acre. I don't have any employees, but I have plants. But it's
Okay.
kind of the same situation. It's just not my father's property.
All right, but in the dream, the ownership is unknown.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
But so it's not exactly the farm in Virginia, and it's not
No.
exactly the farm in Florida.
No.
Yeah, it's a farm that seems to have some features of both, a little bit, and then of course there wasn't any courtyard where old sculptures stood in either farm, was there?
No, it kind of reminds me, I don't know about here, but farms in Virginia, all of them had, if they were old enough, a graveyard
Yeah.
where they
Okay.
buried their ancestors.
All right.
And there's tombstones there that kind of, some of them could be sculptures.
Yeah, that would be a farm, a very old farm then, probably.
Yeah.
One previous to.
Held in the family for generations.
Yes, it would have to be. I would say that it would have to come almost from pre-Civil War days. So it's going to be a very, very old farm, you know.
Yeah, I remember going on some of those farms in Virginia where they had their own graveyards there. They were pretty common.
Yeah, I think
go back to the Civil War or even older.
Yeah, we have a few of those in Iowa, but I'd say most of them come from the 1850s. So there aren't very many graveyards on a farm after the Civil War. I mean, because I don't know why, but anyway, so that means it's ancient. Let's put it that way.
It's old.
Yeah.
For
So
us, not Europe, but for us.
yes. Now you're tending the growing thing there, okay? There's a thing growing here, and you are tending them. And some of them were in pots in a building like a greenhouse, some were outside, and they will not exist without ego's attention being applied to them. You know, ego. If ego does not tend for these growing things, they will all die. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the Narangilla plant, I had a picture of it here just a second ago. See if I can find it. Let's see. It was let me see if I can get this thing. Let's see. It is almost looks like a weed, but cross between a weed and a flower, you know. But it also has almost some characteristics of a let me see if I can get this edit. Right. And
It's in the Solanum family.
Yeah.
You know, you can see how it's related to tomatoes,
all right.
eggplants.
It's a very interesting plant. It has all kinds of features. Let's look at it for a second.
that's the devil plant, you know,
Yeah.
in Virginia, and the old history, you know, they wouldn't eat things from the nightshade family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see, because it almost looks poisonous, but let me see.
The
Oh,
plant parts are actually poisonous. You're just supposed to eat the fruit.
all right. Let's see if I can get it up on the screen here. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. And there we go. Okay. Can you
Yeah,
see
that's
that?
it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Anyway, you see it has some yellow fruits. It has
Yeah.
some pods above.
Little orange.
Yeah, isn't that funny that the fruits below and then the pods are growing up above almost look like milkweed or something, you know, a little bit. So anyway, keep going here. All right. So you're tending the growing things that they need your care to exist. You show one of these employees, one of these workers, the Narangilla plant with the little oranges, and you were supposed to leave and go on a trip. So you were worried about who is going to care for your plants. Okay, now this is very interesting. Okay, all right. The growing thing here will not, if we don't give our attention to it, it won't exist. Now, we are going on a trip. The growing things need some other thing to tend it while we're gone. You know, any idea where you were going or why you were going, or you're leaving the farm?
It didn't seem like I was going for more than a week.
Yeah.
It was some sort of business trip or something I committed to that I couldn't get out of. I don't know
Okay.
where it was.
This often, let's just go like this, because I'm on a trip right now,
Yeah.
and I'm grieving because I haven't been able to do my active imaginations. And I know when I get back that the growing thing is not going to be very happy. You know, I mean, I often find
Good
it's
analogy.
totally silent, you know, and it takes me days to get it to talk again. Okay. So so who is going to tend for these characters in my both the visioning and the because they're always so happy to see me, you know, that I really do feel, and I feel a joy when I see them too. You know? So who's going to do this? All right. It's a we're going to lose something. Okay, now there's an interesting thing. A man who has died, who's been in 6 of your dreams before, comes. He's happy to see you. He's smiling. He jumps on your back, and you were carrying him, and you notice he's very light. Okay. Now, this could be a lot of people. One, it could be the real Al Brenner, which they say happens about 5% of the time. And 95% of the time, it would represent either the shadow or the something to do with the self, you know. Now, I would say, let's see, he's been in 6 of your dreams. So you know how many he's been in. He's happy to see you. So here comes this male figure. He's deceased. We know the dream ego knows he's deceased, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. The dream ego knows he's deceased. So here comes a figure of the dead. So this is someone who represents the underworld, okay? Represents the land of the dead. Seriously, okay? If the dream ego knows this person is dead, then here comes someone from the underworld, and we know he is, you know, and so he comes from the realm of the dead, and he's happy to see you. He jumps on your back, and you're carrying him, and you notice he's very light, and that's because he probably doesn't have a body. You know, he's probably a more of an ethereal being, or one of a soul being, or something like that. So now this is mentioned after the fact, after this anxiety that we're experiencing, because I think somewhat similar to me, that I'm going to be leaving my soul work for a while and going into the ego world. You know. Now the dream's called going home. So I'm saying that home is where the soul came from. Okay, wherever it came from. I mentioned this before, but you often have people who have their son in Vietnam is shot, and at the second he's shot, the mother feels his passing, and then a couple of days later, the phone rings. She knows who it is and what they want to tell her. So that was this, she knew somehow that he left the world. My wife, daughter, who was around 35, she suddenly had a dream that this baby came out of an oven and she could see its face, And she told me the next day, I think, Sarah has conceived. And so she didn't say anything. And a couple months later, yeah, she's pregnant. How long, far are you along? A couple months, Now, where do we come from? Where's going home? I don't know. I mean, it's where do we go when we're in personality number 2? Where's the place where's the place of where where's the middle realm, the place where we have leaves on both sides of the tree, because it's certainly not an ego world. It's certainly not outside the AA meeting where everybody smokes. It's in the sacred circle, and in the voice that speaks from the sacred circle is in our home when they speak, So this is personality number 2. When my wife asked me, what's the aim of all this? Well, it's to have leaves on both sides of the tree, not on just one side, and it's to be in personality number 2. And it's to move the center of gravity of our awareness away from the outer world and willfulness, ego willfulness, to the middle plane, where now it's directed through a cooperative effort of the inner images, the ego, and the symbols that are the third thing that neither one can create on its own, which give us direction. And often when we meet this figure, it says, where have you been? I've been waiting for you for so long. Now is the time for the work to begin, when we finally come to this place, going home. Okay, that's what I'm saying. All right, so Al Brenner is a person from the land of the ancestors. He comes when you're supposed to go on a trip. Were you friends with Al Brenner?
Oh, yes, since the 1980s.
You weren't related to him, you were just his friend?
No, I'm not related to him.
So anyway, a friend who comes from the land of the ancestors is comes, and he appears after the fact that you were home tending the plants. So I say you were in the unconscious, tending the unconscious, tending the growing things there. Now you have to go back to the ego world, and you're worried about what's going to happen to the plants. Suddenly a person from the land of the ancestors says, I'm going to accompany you, you know, and my load is very light. So while you go on this trip, you know, there is, I can come to you. So,
You know, that's really interesting, because in another dream that he was in, he pulls up in a car, black Impala, and he wants me to go with him, and I said I have to get my stuff, and I went to this trailer park that had my stuff, and I got it, and Al said, okay, just put it in my truck. I have lots of room, and he popped the trunk of the car, and I knew he was dead, even though I was dreaming. And then all of a sudden I decided, no, I can't do that. I just can't take off with this guy from the land of the dead. So I didn't go with him. It's weird.
well, yeah, I'd say, you know, that the fact that we have to return to the ego world somehow, and now all this work that we've done on this this farm with ancient images in the courtyard, lots of field and pastures, fertilizers to feed the growing things, and then the plant with the little oranges that's producing the little oranges. If we leave these, we're afraid that they're going to all be gone when we return. They'll all be wilted, or my wife is worried about she's got many plants. Who's going to water them while we're on vacation? And then this person with the land of the ancestors, I think, is somewhat of a reassurance of that. I don't say it's a reassurance that the plants are going to be taken care of, but we don't know whether the plants are going to be taken care of. But at least this person from the land of the ancestors shows up when that concern it comes up in consciousness. That's what precipitated their emergence. Okay, and then I'm just going to do this quickly, and we'll go through the rest of it. You're thinking about the dream. It's like your real life. You take care of plants. I can't hire anyone because the plants are too difficult to trust anyone to take care for them. So as above, so below. What you're doing up here is replicated down there, you know. And one thing Jung told Marie-Louise von Franz one time, when he was, he always liked to have a stream running through his property at Bollingen, and there was a spring on the property, and he would dig a trench so that there'd be a little creek, bubbling creek going to the lake, and Marie-Louise von Franz would help him often keep this open. And as they're over there working, he tells Marie-Louise von Franz, this is what I've spent my whole life doing, digging out springs. That was what he says his work was digging out up springs so they would flow, you know. So this water of life. So it's as above, so below. I mean, there's an aspect that this work you're doing outside is also the inner work. I mean, you're in partnership with the unconscious. Now, here's the statement after you talk to Adelaide. If you work on seeing the problem inside yourself, okay. Now this is the farm, and the plants were tending on the farm, and employees there, and not outside yourself. Then you would be motivated to work on the problem inside yourself. Okay. Or how, okay, so that would be the problem outside ourselves is anything that's involved in samsara, the whirlwind, you know, of ego, willfulness, you know. The problem when we work on inside of ourselves, we are working on developing leaves on both sides of the tree. Okay. And this when we do have them, then we're sitting under the Bodhi tree at the place where the Buddha sat. It's being informed by both worlds, and we move out of that center, you know. So we're now no longer specifically involved in the whirlwind. Okay, we move the center of gravity of awareness to that midpoint, the still point, at the hub of the wheel. You know, we're not riding along on the axle going down and up and down and up. No, we're at the midpoint of the wheel. And that's the middle point where the self resides. Remember, Idzubar taught us that we can't go beyond the center. If Idzubar goes beyond the center, he becomes paralyzed. If we go beyond the center, we're blind. You know, so but we need to. So the inner world can't go beyond the center. We can't go beyond the center, but we can meet in the center. You know, the figure from the west from the westlands, which is us, comes and meets the one from the eastlands, which is Idzubar, the god, and we meet in the center. You know, so anyway, if you work on the problem inside yourself and not outside yourself, you know, if you walk to the center to meet Idzubar, then you'd be motivated to work on the problem inside yourself, or how you yourself contribute to the problem. This is the way to find your way home. Okay, where is home? Where's our native land? Where do we feel where our native land is? People say, welcome home, but what is home? And besides, is the point getting home? The point to me is the obstacle preventing your progress towards home, and that obstacle is yourself. Okay, and that center is the, oops, Kevin, sorry. Kevin keeps getting bumped off and then I forget about him. I wish, and maybe Gary, when you take this over, you can find out a way where people can just self-admit themselves, you know, because I haven't figured it out yet. But anyway, okay, I spent so long on that. Charles, do you have any comments on it?
I mean, I'm still kind of trying to make sense of it. And I was curious if once your friend shows up and jumps on your back, do you then feel like, okay, now it's time to go on the journey or go on the trip, or does it still feel like you're not going to leave quite yet?
No, I had this epiphany. That's when the oracle came to me. Not exactly in the dream, but the feeling came to me in the dream that he had saw my problem.
Okay.
But he didn't verbally tell me, but I got the feeling that he did. And then that oracle sort of came to me that resolved not only that problem, but probably every damn problem I'm going to have.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't have a lot to add to this dream right now. I feel like I need more time with it.
What do you think, Gary?
Well, I find it interesting that there's a courtyard where old sculptures stood. To me, this tells me that, you know, it's like, okay, this is going to be a dream that involves ancient mythology. And there's a sewer plant. So there's, you know, there's a way to handle things which are toxic. You know, it's like, this is not unplanned for. You're tending the plants. So, you know, you're already taking care of the inner world. Then you worry about the journey, but then he jumps on your back. But to me, this is like saying he has your back. He has you covered, you know? And so it's like saying, no, you can do this journey, and the other things that you were taking care of are still going to be okay. And not only that, but this is like, this is your myth. This is because of the sculpture, the ancient sculptures. This is like, this is significant. Um, and so it's not like you have to hire someone to take care of the plants. You've actually already have the help that you need. That's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I think, Gary, one of the things you said that was important to me is that one where the juxtaposition of this almost a courtyard of ancient gods, which is juxtaposed to the sewer. Don't you think that's a wonderful pairing?
Oh, I know, the Negredo with the highest.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. What do you think, Ivan? Ivan, you look very Russian today, by the way.
I'm Ivan's brother, actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, you're Ivan's brother.
Yeah, I'm Ian.
Okay, Ian. Okay, great. Yeah, okay. Well, I was wondering, either your hair grew longer or nice. Well, hi, Ian. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, sure. Well, I hope you come more often, and I hope you've got as good a dreams as your brother does.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead. Could you tell us anything? We'll finish up with Roy's dream, and then Ian, why don't we do one of your dreams? But it's nice to meet you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Gosh, so I kind of feel a little bit too new to really contribute much in terms of analyzing the dream. So maybe I'll just leave it there for now. I'm still
okay, certainly. Well, we'll if you have a dream, we'll do yours next. Okay.
Right. Yeah, one.
Yeah. Okay. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't hear too much. My signal of
yes, I am so sorry. I'm hoping somebody can show me how to self-admit people, because I sometimes miss that.
No,
okay,
no, this is. But what I was gonna say was, I don't know. Dreams are interesting because one thing is that they want to unify a split. So either in dream there is a splitting, or there is a dilemma, and in your dream there is a dilemma. I don't know how you solve that dilemma. If you didn't solve that dilemma in the dream, it's less likely you will solve that dilemma in real life. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Dawn, I always give you the opportunity. You don't have to, but if you want to type something in the text, just any comments you have. I mean, like Ian just starting, the one thing that we can do, even though the only thing that separates us a little bit is, how many of these we went through, kind of seeing the process of amplifying a dream. And by the way, what we're doing, Charles, is we're doing the clarity. We provide a little bit of the intuition and meaning too, but we're not doing the medium of expression. But we're providing meaning and clarity to the dream. And that's only half or 1/3. The other thing we need to do is to draw it and color it if we want to engage all 4 functions, and then to enact it in the outer world with some act, then it will be with us forever, every time we think of that act, But anyway, Dawn, just unmute yourself if you have any comments. And if not, then don't. Okay, so let me just sum up the dream real quick. And then Roy, I'd like to hear what you, if you have any thoughts about it. Okay, so first of all, we don't know what going home means. We're not really sure about it. I mean, what is going home? It's almost is as if, how do we get to home? Would be the source land, the place we came from originally. And what we mean by we is we mean our inner and outer awareness. Where did they come from? That's the only thing we own, you know, is our inner and outer awareness. Where did they come from? You know, now that's that can only really be answered by the symbols that we come through. It's a great mystery if we just think about it, because there is really no answer. You know, the Buddha was called Tathagata, and that meant the one thus come. You know, and it doesn't say where he came from. He just is here, and don't ask where he came from. You know, so that has some clue about where home is. You know, it's the neither nor place. We are just here. You know, there's no place or time we came from. We came from the place where there is no time and there is no place. You know, and that's our native land. Think about that. You know. Okay, so then this place is very well taken care of. You know, this neither nor place, and it is a place where both the images of the gods and the rejected parts of us. And now I just want to mention that the anima feels very neglected. Okay, if you ever read any alchemical work, when they first discover the anima, like the black Shulamite, you know, she says, don't look on me as a lowly being because I am so black and swarthy, you know. She basically says, your lack of attention has made me thus. You know, if you lend your attention to me, I will whiten. I will become more light. In other words, more visible. And I will give into your hand the morning star. Okay. So that's the rejected thing. So there's both the images of the unconscious, and there is that aspect within us that is not rejected, but is neglected. Okay. It's just neglected. Now, there are some growing things. Come on in. There are some growing things there. Just a second. Let me see if somebody's at the door. Is there? Did you need something, or you just? I thought somebody knocked on. It was you're knocking on that door. Okay. What's it?
Just opened our door coming out.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought someone was knocking at our door. Okay, so all right now. So then what is our job here in this neither nor place, the source where we came from, going home? You know, we are to tend little growing things, little growing rooted things, you know, and which produce little fruits, some covered with nettles, you know. Now, we know that we can't spend all our lives in this neither nor place. We're going to go on a trip and leave the neither nor place. And you wonder, what's going to happen to these plants? You know, who will tend them while I can't be here? In other words, the dream ego is going to wake up, and it's going somewhere else. So that's the trip I think we're going on, is the dream ego knows it's going to wake up pretty soon. And that all of these things in the dream that the dream ego is tending are not going to be taken care of. And so at that point, we're just about to wake up. But before we do, this friend from the other world comes and jumps on your back. And he seems to say that he's very near, you know. So this friend from the land of the ancestors, from the land of the source, because, you know, what it is they say that life is an interval between two great mysteries, which are in fact one. You know, so that's going home. You know, the mystery going home is really dying, don't you think? You know, I mean, it's going home. That's where we came from. That life is an interlude between two great mysteries, which are in fact one. You know, and then you're thinking about the dream and the way that it resembles your real life. So you're kind of living a dream in the outer world a little bit, and you're trying to define what home is, you know, and where the real work is, you know. So anyway, Roy, I think what do you can you encapsulate what your thoughts are?
Yeah, it's very good, Craig. Very helpful, and I agree with all of it. The unusual thing is Al, who was an atheist, and most of his friends are atheists, and I'm the oddball out. You know, they gave me hell for 30 years, and Al was sort of the one that was most in the middle. I mean, he wasn't vicious atheist, and he's a Pisces like me, and he respects Taoism, and he's the one that's been contacting me that he died, and a lot of this stuff's been resolved, and all my life I've never given up. You know, I know about the other world. Uh, I might have been a rebel or a prodigal son for a long time, but I always came back to it. I never gave up because of my experiences, not because of what I read, but because of my experiences. And this dream is a tremendous confirmation to me that, you know, that this resolution between what we think our problems are and things that we spend so much time on worrying about or agonizing over, that's not where it's at. That's trivial.
Especially when we're going home.
Yes, and I mean, that's why it's trivial, because the place that we're going is what's important. That's not trivial. And that's a place where these things just fall off of you like dead leaves. The living tree is the thing that's not trivial. That's where we're going.
Yeah, it's the going. It's a transition, you know, and I think Al knows about it. You know, I always was, you know, atheist means that they're not. You know, if you're really a youngin, you know, okay, what are you denying? You're denying your root. You know, you're denying you're an oak tree denying the acorn and the seed and the roots that go down into the earth. That's what you're denying. You know, not anything out here. You're denying your own life source of your own life. But anyway, Roy, we'll continue to, if anyone has any thoughts on this stream. And, you know, by the way, what I thought I would do is, Ian, if you could put your email in the chat, I'll add you to the email list. But what I can do is I can send videos of this out on an unlisted YouTube video if anybody wants to rewatch. You know, I don't know if you do, but some like Kevin and sometimes gets bumped off. You know.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, it'll be on an unlisted, so I'll send you a link so nobody will be able to see it, but someone who has the link. Okay, Ian, why don't you tell us one other? I don't know if you know this, but Ivan. Well, everybody has really good dreams here, and I tell Dawn this too. Dawn, those are that's the star of the show, not anybody here. The dream is the star of the show. Okay, go ahead, Ian. Do you have a dream that you want to talk about?
Sure.
Yeah.
this is a kind of weird one. I'll try my best to describe it.
Okay.
So in the dream, this is going to sound kind of weird, but in the dream, I'm in a dream. Like, I'm aware in this dream that I'm not in the real world. But this world that I'm inhabiting, it's not like quite like a virtual reality, but I guess like, you know, my brain is seeing it as a separate reality from the regular one. And this reality that I'm in, it's very plain. Like it seems dull. There aren't very many details. The details are uninteresting. And I'm walking through this world, and I come I sort of come across this place where the reality is so detailed and so real that it seems like another world. Like this world blends into this other reality that is more real than reality itself. It's so detailed. It's just kind of incredible. And so I'm sort of mesmerized when I see this. And what I want to do in the dream, what my motive in the dream is I want to understand how this place that was more real than reality came to be. And I want to know the secret to recreating it. Because I want to take that more detailed reality and I guess kind of recreate it elsewhere, spread it. So I walk into this separate reality, and I should mention, just because it's like maybe slightly explains some of the images I saw in here, that like I do like a lot of graphics development for like video games and stuff like that. So I think like some of those things might come to the forefront. So I go into this very real area, and I'm looking at it, and I see these signs that point to where I can find the creator of this place. You know, it's like these signs say like, follow this path. So I start following the signs, but the signs keep leading me in a circle. They're not going somewhere specific. They just keep going around. But while I'm going around, I find this place that is sort of a library, mixed with a little bit of a cafe. And there's people walking around in the library, and all the books in there are sort of about, I don't know, aspects of reality. But I keep looking through the books, and I can't find any of the books that actually explain to me what I want to know about creating this more real reality. So I start talking to some other people that are in this sort of library, and they have the same feeling that I have. They want to know the secret, but they feel like the books here are not giving the secret. And the weird thing about this library is that it's sort of also the residence of the person that created this reality. And so we find a staircase, and the staircase is square, but it's sort of like, you know, one of those ones that kind of goes like in circles going down, but it's like it goes around. And I find the staircase almost disorienting because it is so perfect. Like it's basically the shape of it seems unnatural, and how perfect it actually is. There's like no flaws to it. And for some reason, this disorients me. But I make it down the stairs, and I'm kind of now sort of in this like the private quarters of the person that created this place, right? And it's empty. But one of the people that came down there with me that also wants this secret knowledge, he points at this fishbowl, and the fishbowl has piranhas in it. And he says that the fish contain the knowledge, and that we have to pluck the fish out, but we have to not get bitten by the fish. And so he grabs a fish out, and he's holding it just to show me how to do it. And I go, oh, okay. And so I go and grab a fish, but it's slippery and it jumps out, and I kind of try to grab it, and while I'm trying to grab it, it bites my finger, and then it slips out of my hand, and I lose it. And right when that happens, the person that lives here, he appears from the stairs, and he's upset at us for being there. But it's more of like the annoyance that like a parent would have with like a misbehaving child than like the rage you would expect from like trespassing in someone's home, right? It's more like, oh gosh, another set of people here trying to steal my secrets, you know? And so, and this is where the dream kind of goes off the rails, and it's going to sound like a punchline, and I really don't mean for it to. But what ends up happening is that there's like this locked door, and he says, well, you have to ask the person behind the door for this knowledge. And so I say, okay. And he opens the door, and this part's really stupid. There's Harry Potter there for some reason. And the last thought I have in this dream is, wow, the Harry Potter movies sure are going off the rails. And that was pretty much the end of the dream.
Okay. Well, don't worry about that end, because it's we're gonna there really is nothing. Sometimes like we've had who was it? We had who was it? The cat and the who was that cartoon figure that we were discussing the other time? It's a boy.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes. They appeared, but that was very, very informative. Okay, so you're in a dream within a dream. Okay, and so you're in a world that is being inhabited. You're inhabiting a separate reality from the general reality. Okay. Now, at first, this separate reality that's different from the general reality is very plain and dull, not many details, and uninteresting. Okay. So, so you start to walk through it, and then suddenly you come across a different world. So we've got first, here's the worlds we know of. It's our outer world. We've got the dream ego that's sleeping and dreaming. The dream ego in the dream is who knows it's dreaming is inhabiting a reality that is very dull. Now, this would be the factual realm. Okay, this is the realm of dry facts. Okay, this is the realm we live in. Which, if there is anything fascinating in it, well, there is things. My wife was asking me, what would you do if you had 1 week to live? And I said, I think I would just look at the sky, breathe the air, and let the wind blow in my face, just to know what it is to be alive. Okay, all right. But now this is a psychic. We're talking more about psychic reality here, not this outer, the zoom of being alive here. So it's psychic meaning is what we're looking for here.
Can I?
So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It came to mind. One of my implicit understandings in my dream was that the other people here, they all shared a common goal, which was to create their own sub-realities. Mm-hmm. Like everyone was kind of interested in doing that specific thing. I don't know if that's relevant. Just thought I'd mention it.
Well, I think one of the things that we're going to get here is that your work in the graphics realm of creating realities is being used by the psyche to try to get you to find the inner realm in yourself. You're creating these worlds through graphics work, and now it's saying, hey, you know something, Ian? There's this video game inside of you that's going to put this one to shame. Why don't you spend a little time, a little graphics work on this world, okay? So anyway, now suddenly you come across the place of mesmerizing fascination. Okay, you're getting a glimpse of something that cannot be ignored because it is completely fascinating. Its reality is so compelling and so different from the dull and the plain world that it just awakens, you know, uh, our cells in our body, and we're just almost walking on air, you know. So I mean, this is the realm of images, by the way, is the realm of meaning. Now remember, I want to just mention what young soul told him. You know, she says, I'm not your projection, you're my projection. Okay, my real world is the real world. Your real world is just my own projection. I'm trying to learn from you living through this for when you're gone. Okay, so this realm of images that you're contacting here that is so riveting and so fascinating is the realm it's that we just got done talking about, home, you know, the native world. You know, this is the real world of psyche. If we really know who we are we this, you know, this willful thing out here that is going to eventually run into a dead end, a nihilist, atheist world that knows nothing of its source, of its native land? Okay. Well, anyway, it's just okay. So now this dream ego inside the dream ego of a dream is so this is I think somewhat trying to use to pull stuff from your real life and show you the different levels of reality here. You know, that there's different levels of reality. I mean, when you first go in there, there's the dry, dull reality, then there's this reality. We know this is truth that sprouts up from the earth of its own accord and is undeniable in its divine richness. It is so rich that we know that this is the central place. It's just the place that cannot be not denied. You know, what is it they said about the Sibyls, that she speaks in frenzied tone and what she says is not to be laughed at. You know, so it's this realm of images that we're going to now. Ian, do you know anything about Jungian psychology, or a little bit, or?
I've read not a ton. Like I've read about like 70 pages or 70 or 80 pages of revisioning psychology. But
yeah, that's a great introduction, by the way. But I'm just saying, this dream is so wonderful. I just telling you. Okay, all right. So now you are going into there's signs telling you where the where who the source of this reality. Okay.
Yeah.
But it just leads you in a circle. Okay.
Right. And the impression I got in the dream was that it was an intentional deception. Like,
and we're gonna, you follow the signs, and then suddenly you find you're right back where you started.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just intentionally, go this way, turn left, now turn right, turn left, turn right, through this maze, and then suddenly you're right back where you started. So it's an intentional deception. So then, so in other words, it's ego is not going to be a party to this. you know. So, we're just sending you on a wild goose chase. You think you're going to get the answer? No. Ego can't help you here. Ego can't help you now. That's when we first realize that the farm we're working on, we don't know who the owner is. We're not sure. Or the house we're living in, we don't know who owns it. So anyway, so then we go to a library or a cafe. This is a place of learning and a place of discussion of learning. The cafes used to be places where the artists would go to discuss things. It's why would you go to a cafe to drink coffee? Not just to drink coffee. You go there to meet people and discuss things while you're drinking a caffeinated drink, or sometimes even more than that. Okay, so now all the books there, which supposedly about this wisdom, are useless. And the reason they're useless is they're dead. There's nothing living about them. So they're not going to explain magic. Okay. Magic has nothing to do with ego. It has totally to do with non-ego. And we're not going to find that in vocabulary, sentences, and writings in books. Okay. But they say they're about it. But again, they're just like the signs that turn you right back to where you started. And people are catching on to this, but they continue to seek. Okay. And some are getting close to a glimpse behind the curtain. Okay. So you find stairs descending, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going down into the depths, and the descent of the stairs is so beautifully numinous that it's disorienting.
Yeah.
The descent is so beautifully. It is so without flaw that ego has never encountered anything like this before, and it's disoriented, and so now you come to the empty private quarters of the one out of which this reality came. Now, what we would typically call him was the self, which is the self is the archetype of order within the psyche. And as it's the center of all the informing wisdom of nature and ego, so we're riding on the informing wisdom of nature in our own life, with this ego that is separated from nature now becomes this outer something, a third Archimedean point that can look back at itself, which separates us from the animals. Animals are very conscious, but the one thing they can't do is become sick by separating themselves from themselves in nature and become completely sick, because then this thing that's separate from nature thinks it is a self-contained unit and tries to live without nature. It's going to be a dumpster fire, because that's not what its purpose is. Purpose is to become a very strong vehicle here for the images and to create a symbol of meaning, so that the universe becomes more conscious. I mean, let's not go there right now. That's not really what we're talking about here. But anyway, so you're descending the stairs, and you come to the private quarters. We were talking about, now I got talking about the self. That's what I was talking about. Okay, So the self, this archetype of order of the psyche, this is its residence, its secret residence in the depths. Okay. Now there's other people down there, and they see these fish bowls. They're these little bowls full of the unconscious. You know, the water is the feminine vehicle of this is the collective unconscious, which is very unconscious. And in Genesis, you know, God stirs the face of the waters, you know, and that starts the world to come into being. He stirs the unconscious, okay, and lets conscious come to be, you know. So that's what Genesis is about. All creation myths, they're about ego consciousness coming into being. But anyway, there and in the Pisces, you know, we're talking about Pisces. In it is the ungraspable wisdom of the depths. Okay, and if you it bites you if you can't. I mean, it will destroy you or injure you if it's not handled carefully. The wisdom of the depths. It will. What it's going to be dangerous to is ego consciousness, you know, and it's also ungraspable and slippery to ego consciousness in the way it is. You have to be trained. Your friend there is a little more unconscious than you are, a little more in the depths than you are, and he can take it. You just came from the upper worlds, and so you're not ready for that, you know. And so you reach in. This is just a small example of the of where the wisdom lies. It doesn't really even lie in this character who owns it. It lies in his fish balls and in his fish. So this is, you know, he's the archetype of order, but the wisdom that created this place up here is not his wisdom. It's the wisdom of these fish. Now, is this consistent, Ian, with your dream so far? Or do you want to make corrections?
No, I think that it's really consistent.
Yeah, well, I just didn't want to I'm reading something that I misunderstood.
Yeah,
okay.
I think especially with the fish. I do add one thing just that I was kind of thinking about with that is I do think there's like a really strong element of creation in there. Like I've always really liked the story actually of like, you know, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So that's always been a strong symbol for me. And I just wanted to add one other thing. I do kind of think that when I open the door and, you know, I see like Harry Potter there, I think that was this character, you know, this owner of the library, mocking me in a sense. Like, you want to know the secret? Well, here's like having this.
Here's the fake secret.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's kind of
you
a joke.
Think, yeah, you think this is a game,
right?
It's another leading you around in circles. So in other words, this realm of magic, you know, Jung goes to find Philemon and he tells him what magic, and he did the same thing. He takes Jung around in circles, and his explanation. One statement is more disorienting than the next, but after enough of them, you start to get a sense of what magic is, which is what the ancients called magic, we call psyche, you know. But it is something so foreign to ego consciousness that it's ungraspable. We can't grasp it with ego consciousness. It's just beyond. It'll blow your mind, you know. I mean, there won't be. It's first of all, there's it would be annihilating. Okay, if we were to really understand it, there would be no ego consciousness at that point. You know, that's the power of that realm. Its source is very similar to a black hole. You know, if you get too close to a black hole, you're going to be gone, because it is gone at that point. The only way that we can see it is to have distance from it. You know, and then communicate with the annihilating force from a distance in a third thing. See, so that's why this in alchemy they talk about the philosopher's stone, this third thing, because we can't go where Idzubar lives in the eastern lands. He can't go where we live in the western lands. You have to meet at the center. So the idea, I think, here of this person who owns the land, who keeps giving you on things, says you're not ready for this, and I'm just going to keep putting you in circles, and I'm going to give you false clues, and because there really is no clues. Don't ask. You know. Imagine talking to a Zen master about what's the secret of Zen. I'll just give you an example. Here's an example of the owner of that private room. Bodhidharma, who goes from India to China to bring the wisdom of Buddhism to China, and he sits in front of a stone wall for 7 years staring at it, and this adept keeps coming to him every day, and asking to be a student, and he just totally ignores him. So now this is you, Ian. And so finally, he severs his arm, and he presents Bodhidharma with his severed arm. And that finally gets Bodhidharma's attention that this guy might be serious, okay? That maybe Ian is serious. He just presented me his severed arm, and he says, what is it you want? And he says, I want you to put my mind at rest. And he says, bring forth your mind and I will do so. And he says, I can't bring forth my mind. And he says that was his answer. I mean, this is the kind of thing with the Zen koan, one hand clapping, and I mean, all this kind of things this is the realm that we're talking about, of one hand clapping, the sound of one hand clapping. I mean, it's just, it is this, I think Zen koans are very similar to this realm you're talking about, at least if you want to know where the source is. In my active imaginations when I first started, the one thing I really found that was real for me was the I Ching hexagrams, and I wanted to go find the creator of the ones that I got. And I kept going, and I'd find doors with light coming out, and I'd go in, but I never saw him. But Ian, I think I would like to discuss this dream a little bit more next time, because I don't think we're done with it. But I'd like to hear what everybody else says, so we can only just go till 8:30. But Roy, but next time, either next Monday or next Wednesday, we'll finish it. Roy, go ahead.
Oh yeah, dog, you're on the wrong trail. This goes way back to Oedipus and the Sphinx. Nobody's ever answered the question of the Sphinx. They might thought they had. Dog, you're on the wrong trail. You're not going to find the answer to this. I've had these dreams. Yeah. Well, that's what I kind of think. The ego, what is now the intuitive always wants to know where the waterfall came from and where it's going. Is that important, or is that relevant? What do you think, Gary?
Wow, what an incredible dream to start the dream group with, because this is one you need to write down and write the analysis down, and then to also look for how to make it part of your personal myth, because if ever there was a dream that was kind of the beginning of almost like a fable, this would be it. But even like the path going in a circle, we speak a lot of how the growth goes in a spiral. It doesn't none of this stuff is ever linear. And then like the cafe, this is this also seems like alchemical because it's a, you know, it's a place of eating, of gaining knowledge and stuff. And yet at the same time that we gain knowledge, you know, we know that the intellect by itself isn't actually sufficient. And so, but then if the intellect isn't sufficient, if, you know, if thinking, which is to like wisdom, you know, then what is sufficient? Well, um, you know, what's sufficient is feeling to realization, or sort of like the felt sense to realization, and then that's what you're attempting to do when you go downstairs, and you know you attempt to pull out of the unconscious the you know the secret, you know, the to all this. And so, and yet it's slippery. It's, you know, it's something which maybe can't be gotten just by grabbing a hold of it. Maybe it takes like a different way of doing it. And then, you know, seeing Harry Potter behind the door, you know, it's like, maybe it's a joke on you, and maybe it's telling you that, you know, this is magic and you have to treat it as such. And it, like, you know, maybe the thinking approach isn't sufficient. It has to be with other developed senses.
Well, and now we will finish this, but what, Kevin, could you, I do have to
Yeah,
leave just right about 8:30 because my wife's got a dinner reservation, but Kevin, why don't you finish? And Ian, we'll discuss this. We can either discuss it in email or next Monday. Go ahead.
yeah. Hi, Ian. I was just a dream. It's a dream of what Jungian called individuation process and becoming whole. And I feel like you are encountering your, you know, your also future self. So there is a process of developing of your present self, but the process of developing on your future self is already there. Can I ask, do you really want to create another reality?
Um, in the dream, I did. In the dream, that was like I wanted to take that incredible reality and make it even better. Like
In different places.
You want to improve. Okay, because you know we are dependent, like humans are dependent, like computer are dependent on hardwares and programming. And as a normal living human being, we don't usually get access to those, but you get access to those in the dream. And in the dream, you manage to go through these different layers, and these different layers very typical. You're meeting the maze and so on. And now you're also encountering what is called the archetype of the self, or the wise old man, you know, the place of a lot of books. Those are like your informational DNA, like as information stored in your DNA and beyond. You know, DNA takes it to a certain point, but there is also a beyond. And so, and yeah, I don't want to go because I know Craig has to do something. So I just want to say that the door with Harry Potter, it's not, even though you felt that is perhaps a trick, I think that there is something to it. Harry Potter was struck by lightning, and you know, before as well, Zeus was the gods of the all gods, you know. So Harry Potter has been struck by Numa, you know, the world of spirit. So he has become scarred by it. And so in the process of being scarred, he also becomes whole. And he also are able to enter this archetypal reality. So it's essentially a reality of our roots and future, past, and present. And so the maze, I think, is a very typical individuation path. We have to encounter obstacles and so on. But you have to realize all of these are a reflection of your development. The maze is just a part of you. We are inborn with this obstacle because we have to individuate and we have to overcome them. But you also have to realize that this maze is also you. The pariah is also you. You know, it's an energy you cannot control and so on. And so you have to make a connection with your most despised part, with your most uncontrolled part. So meaning have to make something unconscious.
Okay. Well, anyway, now Ian, either next Monday or Wednesday, whenever you're available, or we'll finish the dream. And Roy, thank you very much for your dream. And Dawn, also, if you have a dream that you want to share, I'm going to send an email just to us six, Charles and Ivan, and if you have a dream that you want to discuss, let's. I don't think we've gotten one from you yet, Dawn. But just again, the dreams are the stars, not us, and we're just all trying to learn the clarifying aspect. But Ian, wonderful. Thank you so much for this dream, and we'll go into it either Monday or Wednesday next week. We'll finish it, whichever time you're available. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. My wife's got an appointment at 7:45 for us, so, or 8:45, I guess. Okay. All right, well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye, Gary. Bye.
Bye.